Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your friends in recovery.
Hi, guys. Welcome to Friends in Recovery Podcast. Jersey Ed here, along with Noontime with Sky and Tiff. Hi, guys. Welcome. Welcome to the show.
I need a call out name or whatever you call it.
Yeah, we got to get you one.
It's like Noontime with Sky, Jersey Ed, and Tiff. Well, you're like Madonna. Like, you know, you can be like Madonna. Like,
no.
Right?
Remember, you know what? I used to be Tater Tot.
Tater Tot,
Yeah. Beginning, remember? Tater Tot Hot Dish.
Tater hot dish. So we won't go into that. That's another podcast, guys.
Yeah.
You have to come on Sunday night.
That's right. It comes out at midnight on Sunday. So
yeah.
Well, guys, today's show is we're going to talk about the doctor's opinion. Of course, step one is that we admitted we're powerless over alcohol and their lives are becoming unmanageable. So we'll get into that in a couple minutes. In the doctor's opinion, you'll understand a little bit more why we're going into that. And that's really, I believe, from what I've been reading and hearing and really studying, is it's the gateway to step one. It really is the kind of the doormat. I don't know if that's the right word, but that is the beginning of step one.
The doormat.
The doormat is step one.
Where you wipe your feet off on the road.
It's true, man. Get it all out, you know, right there.
Before you start
Get it all
walking.
out.
Clean that
So,
slate.
Exactly. I do want to thank Genesis House. I know at the top of the show we played the commercial, but I do want to thank them for their ongoing support of Friends in Recovery Podcast, because without them, this would not exist. You know, you wouldn't get all this great talent here. You know, we do demand a high salary for this stuff. So contracts negotiations come up soon. So I don't know if we're going to still be on the air, but we'll figure it all out. So. And I just also want to let you guys know that we will be using the big book and the big book only today. So while we're talking a little bit here, why don't you guys go grab your big book and turn to the doctor's opinion. I do want to give a couple sober shout outs. I do have Nick H. His sober date is 11/7/21. He emailed me help at Friends in Recovery Podcast. You can email your sober dates. You can comment below on your sober date. You can give us ideas about shows. If you want to be a guest, send me mail, say hello. Give Tiff a
call out name.
If you want to give her a name, you know,
Some ideas, yeah.
Ideas.
Comment
exactly.
below some ideas, yeah.
Comment below some ideas. So Nick H, congratulations, 11/7/21. Sky, I know you have a sober shout out.
Yeah, we have a alumni Jim A that's celebrating 10 years in January this month.
Wow.
Congratulations, everybody.
Yep. 2 handfuls.
2 handfuls. There you go.
Crazy.
Congratulations. And then the website, guys. I just got an email from our website guy the other day. He said we're getting close. He's you know, he needs a little bit more time, but just to give you guys an idea, you probably can go to it. Probably says under construction. So the new website's going to be friendsinrecoverycommunities.org, and you're going to find everything there, from meetings to adventures to all maybe we'll be on there, our bios will be on there. Help, click on help immediately.
Resources,
phone numbers, and even in the future we want to match you up with possible sponsors, temporary sponsors somewhere down the road. We have a lot to do with all that. So that's just the beginning. One other thing, guys, up and coming, what we're going to do is the Saturday night and Tiff will talk about the meetings real quick here after I'm done, but the Saturday night Alive meetings, I record every speaker. There's 70 speakers in there from the beginning of the pandemic. There's 70 speakers in our files. I'm organizing them and I'm getting them out on our YouTube channel under playlists. Okay. And we're going to have speakers. It's going to be labeled exactly what they're talking about. So if you're feeling down one day and you want to hear, step 12, or you want to hear, I don't know, Tiffany's story or whatever it is, you can scroll through all these speakers, and it's a speaker only. They give you their experience, strength, and hope, and you can get a good takeaway from it. So that'll be in the playlist in YouTube. Hopefully you'll start seeing them trickle in soon. And then what else? Our meetings also, you'll see in the playlist is the Rich the Step Guy. If you're wondering what that is, every Monday at noon, I do a step meeting, and Rich goes deep into the step of the month, the beginning of the month. And if you missed it, you can listen to it. And there's more views on there than they're going up every day. And so I'm guessing we're gonna have a lot of people on the meeting on Monday. But Tiff is going to tell us about those meetings and how you can get to them and figure them out and what time they are. So just go to Friends in Recovery podcast and Google it, and just look in our YouTube. All that stuff is there. So Tiff, you want to talk about the meetings?
Yeah, I will. So the last Saturday of the month is our celebration meeting. I think that it's cool to point that out. So if you want to join us on the Friends in Recovery meetings, on the last Saturday of the month is our celebration meeting. So be sure to comment below your sober date, and we celebrate days, months, years, whatever length of sobriety that we celebrate those milestones: 30, 60, 90, 6 months, 9 months, and then of course 1 year and multiple years. So that's the last Saturday of the month. And then in addition to our twice daily meetings, which are at both noon and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have speaker meetings, we have step meetings, we have living clean meetings, topic discussion, literature discussion, the big book study. Of course, I'm still going to give it a shout out. That's on Sunday night.
She's pushing that meeting.
Yes, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to learn more about the big book in depth, join us there. Then we have our alumni and friends meeting, which is on Tuesday nights. And that's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have our meditation group, our loved ones group, which is for our loved ones and more. Addicts around there as well. But anyway, that's on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have adventure plannings and more. So for more info on all of our meetings, go to genesishouse.net under connections. And then we also have the coin challenge. So attend any 30 Friends in Recovery meetings. Doesn't have to be consecutive, just 30 meetings. And you will earn the highly sought after Zoom into Recovery coin, which is, it says Friends in Recovery Communities on the back. And then it has Bill and Bob with masks on the front. And it's a very nice, heavy, beautiful coin. And it's, like I said, very highly sought after. So back to you, Ed. That's our meeting.
Thanks, Tiff. And the meetings are great, guys. I'm always on them. Tiff, so Skylar, we're all always on them. So if you guys want to,
if you're listening right now, definitely come join the meetings, because we're on there live in full effect, and would love to meet you guys.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, Sky, you have a couple things to talk about, some of our social media, how they can get involved with the social media, and some stuff about the
so you want to go like Genesis House page, and on there's groups. There is a Friends in Recovery community, and anybody can join that.
That's in Facebook. That's Facebook you're talking about, right?
Yes, Facebook. So you on the Genesis House page on Facebook. Yeah, you want to like it. And then in the groups, you will get Friends in Recovery Adventures. There's that group. There's also a Friends in Recovery community. And then there's also the alumni only group. So you can join any of those groups. All of them will have updates and different things going on that we're doing. And then and then we have if you guys want to do some service, you guys can write a pen friend to Genesis House, and we'll put the address below. It's just a quick little way you can give back to somebody that maybe doesn't get mail and just needs a little bit of hope, And if you guys need supports or phone numbers before we get the website, we can still give you that. Genesis House has the alumni program. We have a Unity contacts. We could totally give you people with numbers that have signed releases to give their number to you. So if you guys need to get connected or have some numbers, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way of if you're struggling out there, guys, just contact us. We'll get you some information, please. Please, absolutely. And then real quick with our podcast here, make sure you subscribe, guys, because when you subscribe, it helps us get this show out there even more and gets the word out even more. The message in these shows are great. And also it'll also remind you when the new show comes out. New shows come out every Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning now. Not really, but it's when this show comes out, it's Tuesday morning. Every Tuesday we put a show out. So please subscribe. It's very, very important that you do that. So guys, today we are talking about the doctor's opinion. Now all that crap is done. Now we get into the meat and potatoes of things. We got to inform people. We got to let people know what's going on because we got some really good stuff going on. Comment below what you guys thinking about it. And if you joined one of our meetings, the other thing, the Facebook stuff, I've been seeing, I'm one of the administrators on Facebook. I've been seeing a lot of people saying, I listened to you guys on the podcast and they told me to come over to the Facebook page. I was like, oh, cool. So that's working. So keep doing that, guys. Keep getting that support. So today we're talking about the doctor's opinion. And that's on page 25 XXV. It's not even normal numbers just yet. So and
they call those Roman numerals.
That's right, Roman numerals. So the doctor's opinion. So the doctor in the doctor's opinion is Dr. William Duncan Silkworth. And I just wanted to give you a little background on him, who he was and what he did in the book. Because I really didn't even know until we started talking about this. And we said, all right, we're going to talk about the doctor's opinion. And then, we're going to figure out, kind of how it ties in with step one. I didn't even know who the guy was. I know he's buried over in West Long Branch, New Jersey. Okay. One of our women, Beth R, on the meeting said, I think he's buried over by my house. I'm like, what? I'm like, in West Long Branch? This guy, like, really? He's in a book and he's buried in West Long Branch? So yes, he is. He's actually buried in Glenwood Cemetery in West Long Branch, New Jersey. And Dr. William Duncan Silkworth, 1873 to 1951, was an American doctor and a specialist in the treatment of alcoholism. He was the director of the Charles B. Towns Hospital for Drug and Alcohol Addiction in New York City in the 1930s, during which time Bill Wilson, a future co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, AA as we know it, was admitted on 3 occasions for alcoholism. Silkworth had a profound influence on Wilson and encouraged him to realize that alcoholism was more than just an issue of moral weakness. He introduced Wilson to the idea that alcoholism had a pathological disease-like basis. Dr. Silkworth wrote the letter in the chapter titled The Doctor's Opinion in the book Alcoholics Anonymous, which we'll be talking about that in a moment. Silkworth treated more than 40,000 alcoholics in his career and was regarded one of the world's leading experts in the field. Crucially, he described the powerlessness of alcoholism as an obsession of the mind that compels one to drink, and an allergy of the body that condemns one to go mad or die. Silkworth observed that the alcoholic could recover if they could obtain essential psychic change brought about with the aid of a higher power. So
that was a mouthful.
On that, good Lord. Thank God I'm not reading the doctor's opinion, okay? Because this podcast would be 7 hours fucking long. So Tiff volunteered to read the doctor's opinion, which she covered extensively in her big book. I think it was one of the things she covered at the beginning when she started her big book study. But so Tiff, I'm going to turn it over to you. We're going to read, and then when we feel fit, when we feel right, we'll stop and we'll talk a little bit about it. Please, guys, comment below on some of your thoughts here. I know this is not a live show, but we can go interactively. If you guys are commenting below, let us know your thoughts on certain sections of this book, and all that stuff. So, Tiff, it's all yours.
That'll be our next step, the live show.
Yeah,
I was just thinking that.
Call in. Hey, hello, Jersey Ed here.
Jersey Ed.
So I said sober pod again. I said sober pod. Oh, speak real quick. I want to give my sober is the new cool shout out shirt. That's
yes. I just packed up my Christmas tree and put away my ornament that I have that was sent to me with Sober is the new cool. When I ordered you ordered 2 items, they sent you a prize, and I got this cool ornament.
Nice.
So anyway, thanks for that. So the doctor's opinion, I think it's important to note too that the doctor's opinion hasn't changed in the book in any of the editions. So after all of the medical science and everything that's changed in the field over the years, the doctor's opinion remains the same. And I think that says a lot about his expertise and about how much we value the doctor's opinion, how many people it's helped. So it says, we of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested in the medical estimate of the plan of recovery described in this book. Convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with sufferings of our members, which are alcoholics, and have witnessed our return to health. A well-known doctor, chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital specializing in alcoholic and drug addiction, gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter. And again, that doctor is Dr. William D. Silkworth. He worked at Towns Hospital in New York City. It says, to whom it may concern, I have specialized in the treatment of alcoholism for many years. In late 1934, I attended a patient, which was Bill W., who he had been a competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of a type I had come to regard as hopeless. So he had attended that this guy was of the hopeless variety of the alcoholic. In the course of his third treatment, which Ed already said, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others. This had become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. This man and over 100 others appeared to have recovered. So he's talking right there about the 100 men and women who wrote the book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I personally know scores of cases who were of the type of whom other methods had failed completely. These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance because of the extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group, that they mark a new epoch in the annals, which means historical records of alcoholism. These men may have a remedy for thousands of such situations. You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. So, and it says, very truly yours, Dr. William D. Silkworth. So this is very important in step 1. That you have a doctor here saying, hey, these hundreds of men and women, 100 men and women who wrote this book, right, have, he's saying, do anything they say about themselves. Do anything they say.
That's in the doctor's letter. That's in his letter. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just the doctor that's just the letter, to the book. Yeah. And he's saying, listen to these people. They have the answer. They have the answer. You know what? Doctors can physically separate people from alcohol. They can treat you through detox, right? But he's saying, listen to these people. They have something going on
Yeah.
here. It says, the physician who at our request gave us this letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. In this statement, he confirms that he has suffered alcoholic torture and must believe that the body of the alcoholic is quite abnormal in his mind. It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking. Nobody wants to be told that they can't control their drinking, right? Just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight from reality, or we were outright mental defectives. These things were true to some extent. In fact, to a considerable extent, with some of us. But we are sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete. Now, this is where we're going to start talking about the allergy, guys. Okay.
This is where it gets good.
It gets good. Okay. So we're going to talk about the allergy, which an allergy, is I have a biochemical reaction. My body has a biochemical reaction when I put alcohol into my system. It says the doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. As laymen, our opinion as to its soundness may, of course, mean little. But as ex-problem drinkers, we can say that this explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account. Though we work out our solution on a spiritual as well as an altruistic plane, altruistic means unselfishly doing for others. Plane, we favor hospitalization for the alcoholic who is very jittery or befogged. So what it's saying there is, yeah, you need to go to the hospital to be separated from alcohol, and you need to go through detox, and you need to do that under the care of a physician.
That's the physical part of the disease. There's two parts of the disease, guys. There's the mental and there's the physical. Well, three parts, and the spiritual. So the physical part gets fixed first, as it says here in the book. Go to the hospital. Go to the. We can't. And as we read on, you'll hear more about it. But our brain is still foggy, and we need to get that cleared up. That's number one. And then the physical. That's the physical. The mental part is our brains. We'll talk about that a little bit further in here. But is our brains, and then the spiritual part. That for me, I healed further on down. The spiritual part healed further on down because I was a fucking mess. I mean, I was just a complete and total mess. And I didn't even know what I thought spirituality was going to church on every fucking Sunday, getting communion. But it's not. Too. Yeah, right. It's not, guys. And we'll talk about that.
I didn't realize that was the remedy either.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
I thought like this is doing these steps were, and that was it. And then I found out so much more through this.
Well, and I thought I just needed to be separated physically. I thought I didn't need anything else.
Yeah.
No, I just need to detox and feel better.
Yeah. But the spiritual part is where we heal. That's when that's where the healing begins. And that's where we feel good. So go ahead, Tiff. I'm sorry.
Okay. So more often than not, it is imperative that a man's brain be cleared before he is approached. And so, what we just said, get rid of the brain frog. Fog.
Brain frog.
Yeah. Or frog. Before you approach them, with these spiritual and other the mental aspects of things, right? So get him separated from alcohol, get his brain clear, or her, as he has then a better chance of understanding and accepting what we have to offer. Okay, so it goes on to say, the doctor writes, the subject presented in this book seems to me to be of paramount of importance to those afflicted with alcohol addiction. I say this after many years of experience as medical director in one of the oldest hospitals in the country treating alcoholic and drug addiction. There was therefore a sense of real satisfaction when I was asked to contribute a few words on a subject which is covered in such masterly detail in these pages. We doctors have realized for a long time that some form of moral psychology, which means spiritual experience, was of urgent importance to alcoholics, but its application presented difficulties beyond our conception. What with our ultra-modern standards, our scientific approach to everything, we are perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good that lie outside our synthetic knowledge. Okay, that's a fucking mouthful. Okay, so what it's saying there is when it's saying our ultra moderates, it's meaning the doctor. The doctors were perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good. Okay, outside of the doctor's synthetic knowledge, meaning many years of experience meant that years with Dr. Silkworth had been here. Okay, meaning at the hospital that we talked about, and all he ever did was deal with addicts and alcoholics. And that he's saying you require a spiritual experience and a doctor can only offer so much. Their scientific methods are okay, they're necessary, but you require more than that.
You know what gets me, what that kind of fascinates me about this is a doctor saying this. This is not like Bill W. or Bob or somebody who wrote the book. This is the doctor saying that we can only go we can only go so far with our doctor stuff. You have to bring other addicts and alcoholics into this. And it says we doctors realized for a long time that a form of moral psychology was the urgent importance to alcoholics. So that is the like you said before, Tiff, is that's where that kind of change of the mind comes in. And spiritual, and that's not the spiritual, the whole mental and physical thing, but that's where it comes in. That's where the doctor stuff stops. There's no medication, there's no pills, there's no nothing. He's saying it is up to the addict and alcoholic to talk to each other, to help each other out from this point on. That's
meaning I can separate you from alcohol, right? Yes. I can put a barrier in place from alcohol by putting you in the hospital. I can watch over you. I can get you through withdrawal. And then that's where my expertise.
But it says not well equipped to apply the powers of good, aka G-O-D.
G-O-D, God.
Yeah, exactly.
AKA.
Exactly. And this was written in the 30s, guys, where this stuff was kind of like every quack was out there trying to peddle their doctor stuff, right? It was way different way back then than it is today, obviously, but
still, yet the doctor's opinion hasn't changed.
I love that. That's so amazing, isn't it? Like it hasn't changed because this is right. This is right for us. So.
Yeah, and all of the addiction doctors or alcohol doctors that have come after Dr. Silkworth still follow this same method.
It's crazy.
Okay, so it goes on. It says many years ago, one of the leading contributors to this book, that means AKA Bill W. Okay. Came under our care. So Bill W. is under the care in the hospital. And while here, he acquired some ideas which he put into practical application at once. And I want to stop there for a second. He put it into practical application at once. Now, Dr. Silkworth has already established that he's come into his care at least 3 times. And once this last time he came through, Bill W. decided to put things into practical applications at once, meaning he went on to the steps right away, started helping people right away. So you'll hear many opinions, right? Like, how long did it take before you went on to step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4? Bill W. put things into practical application at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what we should do, though, guys. If you want to, exactly. Because if you want to get sober isn't saying I'm going to get sober, I'm going to go to AA. This is a program of action. It even says in the book, Into Action, there's a section in the book, Into Action. If we don't apply these principles and we don't work these principles and we don't do it right away, we're not going to get any relief. We're going to be back in detox, where Dr. Silkworth can only get you so far and stop, and then stop.
He can separate you from alcohol.
Exactly. And how many times,
go back out
exactly. How many times you want to be separated from alcohol? So the action step is getting into the steps. I don't care if you're a day sober, get into the fucking steps, man. Get into it. If you're listening to this and you're a day sober, figure out what we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and our lives have become unmanageable means. Talk to somebody, comment below, ask us. We'll tell you. I mean, we'll help you out. So
okay, and then I just watched a movie yesterday, thanks to you, Ed, and it was came out in 2021, And it says that the average detox is 7 to 10 days. Those are facts. Okay. So that means you put practical application at once after 7 to 10 days. Okay.
Yep.
So it says he requested, meaning Bill W. requested the privilege of being allowed to tell his story to other patients here at the hospital, and with some misgiving. So they were kind of like, maybe, I don't know, but they consented. The cases we had followed through with, okay, so the cases we have followed through have been most interesting. In fact, many of them are amazing. The unselfishness of these men, as we have come to know them, the entire absence of profit motive, so they're not doing this for money, right?
Yep.
And their community spirit, so everybody's left the fellowship, their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in the alcoholic field. So think of how many people this guy tried to help and couldn't fix. Years. Tried to separate them from alcohol. Can't fix. They keep coming back. He has to say, hey, you're clinically insane. You're just going to die, right? Or you're going to go crazy. They believe in themselves and still more in the power which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death. Of course, an alcoholic ought to be freed from his physical craving for liquor, which we've already talked about, and is often requires a definite hospital procedure or a stay, right, before psychological measures can be of maximum benefit. We believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy. Okay, so now we're talking about that allergy. The doctor is telling us we have a biochemical reaction that happens in our body when we put alcohol into our system. That's an allergy. Okay, I have a biochemical reaction. And here's what it's saying, what happens. The phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. So to an alcoholic who has an allergy, a biochemical reaction, I put alcohol in my body. So something that, and then happens is a phenomenon, which is something we can see, but not explain. We can see this happen, but we cannot explain it. Okay. And what that is the phenomenon of craving. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all. And once having formed the habit and found they cannot break it, once having lost their self-confidence, their reliance upon things human, their problems pile up on them and become astonishingly difficult to solve. I know I've been there.
I'm going to stop and talk about this, guys. This is a really good paragraph. This is, if you're thinking about picking up and you're thinking you don't have a problem, you're thinking that, you can have just one drink, you can't. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're thinking that, maybe I'm that person, you're not. You're really not. So what it says here at the end, and this is what I want you to look at, and this is what I had to look at. It says at the end that my problems kept piling up and they became astonishingly difficult to solve. Okay. Most people can solve their own problems, it's work. It's hard. It's, you get through it. Me as an addict and alcoholic, and I'm not saying this for everybody, but for me as an addict alcoholic, my problem solving was in the bottom of a bottle, because when there was a problem, I hit the bottle hard. I found the cocaines, I found the hookers, I found whatever I needed to find to take me out of that problem. But you know what? The motherfucking problem was there the next day. When I woke up, when I ran out of money, the problem was there. So if I'm going to go back and think that I'm going to pick up a drink and I'm going to do it differently this time, I need to go to this bottom part of this paragraph and understand that my problems kept piling up and there was no way to solve them. There's just no way to solve them through the bottle. Yeah. Step one.
This is the second part of step one right here.
Yeah. I'm powerless over alcohol and my life has become unmanageable. Exactly. Is what it says right there.
And the symptom to the allergy is the craving though. So like that.
We should talk about that phenomenon of craving, because we alcoholics or AA or NA members call that obsession of the mind.
Yes.
That's the phenomenon of craving. So it's a obsession of the mind, which means that I can't stop thinking about it. I can't, once I have one, I'm thinking, oh, I'm okay. That means I can have two. And then I have two and I think, oh, that's okay. I can have three. Or, there's lots of different ways to explain the obsession of the mind. It's that we just can't stop thinking about our addiction or our drug of choice. Frothy, which means light, insignificant, or worthless nature. Yeah, worthless, right? Emotional appeal seldom suffices. The message, so meaning emotional appeal seldom suffices. That means nobody can give us an emotional appeal to stop, and we don't do it either. The message which can interest and hold these alcoholic people must have depth and weight. In nearly all cases, their ideals must be grounded in a power greater than themselves if they are to recreate their lives. So a promise is here. If my ideals are grounded in a power greater than myself, my life will be recreated. So that's what it's saying there, right? If any feel that as psychiatrists directing a hospital for alcoholics, we appear somewhat sentimental, let them stand with us while we are on the firing line, see the tragedies and the despairing wives, the little children, let the solving of the problems become a part of their daily work, and even of their sleeping moments, and the most cynical will not wonder what we have accepted and encouraged in this movement. Meaning, we live here. Don't be critical of what the doctor's writing here until you've walked a mile in our shoes.
Exactly.
And seen all the people and the wives and all the families, meaning this is a family disease. It's affecting me, you, and everybody else around me.
It's not just the addict and alcoholic. It's the whole family.
And the doctor's saying that now.
Yeah. Yeah. Because guys, this is what the doctor wrote. This is all the doctor's writings now we're reading.
This is all the doctor's opinion. We feel after many years of experience that we have found nothing which has contributed more to the rehabilitation of these men than the altruistic movement now growing up among them. Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit if it is injurious or hurting me, I'm sorry, I have trouble reading. You know why? Because I have so many scribbles in this book.
I just have trouble reading because I can't fucking read. So
same.
They cannot, after a time, differentiate the true from the false. Meaning, the effects produced by alcohol give us a sensation that's so elusive that it doesn't matter if it's hurting me or anybody else, right? I can't even differentiate the true from the false anymore.
Insanity.
Yeah, insanity, right? I'm going to the gates of death. I am of the most hopeless variety.
Exactly.
To them, and normal people don't feel like this, by the way. Normal people can stop and fix and stop their problems, right? They can say, hey, maybe I shouldn't have a drink, and then this wouldn't happen. Right?
Hey, I drove here today. I'm not gonna have a drink. I drove here. I'm gonna have 100 drinks, and I'll figure out how I'm gonna get home, even if I have to drive home.
Hey, I can promise to be your sober cab all you want, but it doesn't mean I'm not gonna drink. Drive. All right. So anyway, to them, alcoholic life seems the only normal one. They are restless, irritable, and discontent. Meaning, unless I can again experience the sense of ease and comfort, which comes at once by taking a few drinks which they see others taking with impunity, without consequences, is what that means.
So this is pretty good too. I have all this highlighted and underlined here because this again tells us that we're alcoholics, that we have a problem, that our life has become unmanageable. The sense of comfort and ease which comes by taking a few drinks. So when we're feeling that restless, irritable, and discontent, there's two ways we can look at it. And the next paragraph goes into it, how we can look at it differently. But the first way they're talking about is you take that drink and everything calms down. But that's not you can't physical. You can't fix that by picking up a drink, it's long-term anyway. So
this restless, irritable, and okay. Physical, and and then that sense of ease and comfort also is in, okay, here's another explanation. 4 o'clock hits. I get off work at 5. At 4 o'clock, I'm starting to feel restless, irritable, and discontented. Okay. What's going on? There's that obsession of the mind. Okay. I'm starting to think, okay, at 5 o'clock, I'm done. By 5:30, I'm at happy hour. That's the sense of ease and comfort that I get when I'm driving at 5 o'clock. When the bell hits to 5:30, I start getting that sense of ease and comfort because I know a drink is coming.
Yeah.
The dope man called me back.
I want to tell you
so I know he's on his way.
Obsession of the mind, phenomenon of
Mental.
craving.
Exactly. I want to tell you a quick story about that in my early drinking days. So I was able to drive my family from New Jersey to Florida, 4 kids, my wife at the time. I think we bought my mom and her husband at the time, driving to Florida. And we had our stopping point was in, I think, South Carolina. And guys, the whole time we left very early, the whole time I was thinking, and this is when I was very addicted in my addiction, very, very active in my addiction. The whole drive down there. Now I have 4 kids in the back, my wife sitting next to me, and my mom and dad in the car. I'm thinking about getting to the hotel, and I hope that there's a bar there. Hope that there's a bar there. Okay, the whole fucking time I'm driving. I hope.
Yeah, you're not listening. You're not taking in the scenery. You're not participating in your family life.
Yeah, missed the whole Pedro experience driving down there on 95. If you guys know, right? You know all that. Have you ever drove 95 and see all the south of the border stuff?
Yep.
Oh my God, missed it all because I wanted to get to the bar, and there was a bar at the whatchamacallit, and I stayed there till about 2 o'clock in the morning. Got up late, got a late start to get going again, so it fucked up everything. You know, So,
again, phenomenon of craving,
exactly,
sense of ease and comfort. Once you got there and saw that there was a bar.
Yeah.
So after they have succumbed or gave in to the desire again, as so many do, the phenomenon of craving develops. They pass through the well-known stages of a spree, emerging remorseful with a firm resolution not to drink again. I'm not going to do this again, right? I'm not going to stay in the bar till 2 o'clock in the morning and get a late start again. I promise I won't. Tell myself that over and over.
Doing this tomorrow.
Right? Right? Everything's again. This is repeated over and over. And unless this person can experience an entire psychic change, here's what we're talking about, the psychic change, there is very little hope of recovery. Or do I have any other solution? No, I don't. My only solution is to do it again, right? On the other hand, and strange as this may seem to those who do not understand, once a psychic change has occurred, the very same person who seemed doomed, who had so many problems, he despaired of ever solving them, suddenly finds himself easily able to control a desire for alcohol. The only effort necessary being that required to follow a few simple rules. Okay, now we're going to get into the few simple rules, but what it's saying is once you have that psychic change, which the 3 of us have had, we're relieved of that obsession of alcohol. As a matter of fact, in the book later on, we talk about this where it says we almost recoil from it as if, touching a hot stove. We have no more after the psychic change.
That's actually this paragraph. I have it underlined, circling and everything. It's actually the acceptance that I'm an alcoholic at this point.
Yep, I'm accepting this, right?
I'm accepting it. I don't know how to do it, but I'm accepting it. That there's a problem. And this is where it says follow a few simple rules. And they are simple rules. So
Yep. Men have cried out to me in sincere and despairing appeal, Doctor, I cannot go on like this. I have everything to live for. I must stop, but I cannot. You must help me. Faced with this problem, if a doctor is honest with himself, he must sometimes feel his own inadequacy. Although he gives all this, all that it is in him, he gives him everything, right? It is often not enough. One feels that something more than human power is needed to produce the essential psychic change. Though the aggregate or combined total of recoveries resulting from psychiatric effort is considerable, we physicians must admit we have made little impression upon the problem as a whole. Many types do not respond to the ordinary psychological approach. So all the old approaches that they've been doing for years and years and years are not working.
Shock therapy, lobotomies, medications, benzos.
Yes.
I mean, you name it. They did some crazy shit back then, guys. Seriously.
Yep. I do not hold with those who believe that alcoholism is entirely a problem of mental control. I have had many men who had, for example, worked a period of months on some problems or business deal, which was to be settled on a certain date favorably to them. They took a drink a day or so prior to the date when the phenomenon of craving at once became a paramount to all of their interests, so that the important appointment was not met.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's what we're saying there is, I won't drink, right? I'm not going to drink through this entire business deal. The business deal is happening on Tuesday, right? But what happens on Monday? I drink, and then I miss the important date. It happens over and over, is what the doctor is saying.
And we say we won't do it again, just like we were saying earlier. We won't do it again, and that's where this whole thing comes. This
But
whole
that's the insanity of it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Meaning
That's what to
I
drink.
don't only drink when I have problems, right? It means I drink when I'm happy too, when my life is going good, right? I have a great business deal coming up, right? And I still go out and do what I say I wasn't going to do. These men were not drinking to escape. They were drinking to overcome a craving beyond their mental control. There are many situations which arise out of the phenomenon of craving, which caused men to make the supreme sacrifice rather than continue to fight. The classification of alcoholics seems most difficult, and in much detail is outside the scope of this book. There are, of course, the psychopaths, which that's psychopathic personality, a person characterized emotional instability, who are emotionally unstable. We are all familiar with this type. They are always going on the wagon for keeps. They're over remorseful and making many resolutions, but never decision. There is the type of man who is unwilling to admit that he cannot take a drink. He plans various ways of drinking, right? Or various types of drinking, but mainly in an effort to control my drinking, right? He plans various ways of drinking, meaning I'll only drink at happy hour. I'll only have a nightcap. I'll only have this, right?
I only have beer. No more whiskey, beer now. No more. Yeah.
And that's what we're getting into now. He changes his brand or his environment, meaning I'll only drink wine. I'll only drink, I'll never drink at home. I'll only drink at home.
Yeah.
There is the type who always believes that after being entirely free from alcohol for a period of time, that he can drink without danger. Meaning I can go for 30 days. That means I'm not an alcoholic, right? Or I can go for 2 weeks, or I can or whatever your period of time is.
Tiff, I want to go back real quick to the branding and the environment. I remember saying that, and I'm sure everybody can kind of identify with this. I'll never drink before 9 o'clock in the morning, but I'll drink at 9 o'clock at night till 9 o'clock in the morning, right? Hey, come on, it's still going through, right? I mean, that's the insanity of this craziness, how we manipulate our own minds. And if we're manipulating our own minds about drinking, think what we're doing to the families, and think what we're doing to our employees, our employers, and everybody else in this world that we get our hands on when we're in our addiction. So
So there's the manic depressive type, who is perhaps the least understood by his friends, and about whom a whole chapter could be written, which that goes without saying. That's me. Anyway,
you too.
Join the club.
Yep, welcome. You're not unique.
Wah, wah, wah. Anyway, then there are types entirely normal in every respect. I was that type too for a long time, right? Every respect, except for the effect alcohol has upon them. They are often able, intelligent, and friendly people. That's most of us guys. We're able, we're intelligent, we're friendly, right? I can seem like I have it going on perfectly on the outside, but nobody knows what happens behind closed doors. Or I'm perfectly normal and I take a drink and I'm up on the bar. That's me too. Or turn into a bitch, or whatever, right? I can fight anybody and anything.
Think how intelligent we have to be to do all that, to keep those lies juggling. What did Jeff say last week? For every one lie you have to tell, you have 12 lies 12 lies ahead of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be pretty smart to do that, right? And think if we take our energy and put it into recovery, where we can go, and think like, look at each one of us, how far we've come and how successful we are in our I'm not just talking about in our careers, personal lives, in our family lives, what we got back with our loved ones, so.
And you guys have so much more than I do. And I can't believe anything could happen. And I'm only 2.5 years in,
I know. Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So all these and many others have one symptom in common. They cannot start drinking without developing the phenomenon of craving. That's the phenomenon of craving, as we have suggested, maybe the manifestation of the allergy, which differentiates me from all these other people, and sets them apart, and is I distinctly, I don't know. Anyway, I have it crossed out in my book and put from other people. Okay, so it has never been by any treatment with which we are familiar, permanently eradicated. Okay, it's never been permanently eradicated from anyone. The only relief we have is to suggest entire abstinence. This immediately precipitates us into the seething cauldron of debate, or a boiling kettle of debate. Much has been written pro and con, but among physicians, the general opinion seems to be that most chronic alcoholics are doomed. What is the solution? Perhaps I can best answer this by relating to one of my experiences. About 1 year prior to this experience, a man was brought to treated for chronic alcoholism. The man who was brought in was, by the way, Hank Parkhurst. His story is The Unbeliever. It appeared in the first edition. He had but partially recovered from a gastric hemorrhage or bleeding stomach. I've suffered from that. I've only had 60 plus blood transfusions, by the way. That's another show. But it wasn't my drinking.
That's our Friends in Recovery medical show that we do.
Right.
Medical professionals. There we go.
Wasn't because of the phenomenon of craving.
That's right. Exactly. It was the damn buffalo wings that you ate.
Yeah. I have a problem. Anyway, a bleeding stomach, and it seemed to be a case of pathological mental deterioration. He had lost everything worthwhile in his life, and he was only living, one might say, to drink. He frankly admitted that he believed that for him there was no hope. Following the elimination of alcohol, there was found to be no permanent brain injury. He accepted the plan outlined in this book. 1 year later, he called to see me, and I experienced a very strange sensation. I knew the man by name and partially recognized his features, but that's where all the resemblance ended. From a trembling, despairing, nervous wreck had emerged a man brimming over with self-reliance and contentment. I talked with him for some time, but was not able to bring myself to feel that I had known him before. To me, he was a stranger, and so he left me. A long time has passed with no return to alcohol. When I need a mental uplift, I often think of another case brought in by the physician prominent in New York. The patient had made his own diagnosis, and deciding his situation hopeless, had hidden in a deserted barn, determined to die. He was rescued by a searching party and in a desperate condition brought to me. Following his physical rehabilitation, the separation from alcohol, he had a talk with me in which he frankly stated he thought the treatment was a waste of effort unless I could assure him, which no one ever had, that in the future he would have the willpower to resist the impulse to drink. The willpower. His alcoholic problem was so complex, and his desperation so good, or depression so great, that he felt his only hope would be through what we then called a moral psychology. And we doubted if that would have any effect. However, he did become sold on the ideas contained in this book, and he has not had a drink for a great many years. I see him now and then, and he is a fine specimen of a manhood, and one could wish to meet. I think his name was Jersey Ed. I earnestly advise every alcoholic to read this book through and through. Perhaps came to scoff, he may remain to pray. Anyway, that's the end of Dr. William D. Silkworth's letter. I'm sorry we rushed through that at the end, but the most important part is to talk about the allergy, the psychic change, restless, irritable, discontentment, things like that. And step one, guys, that's what we're talking about with step one with the doctor's opinion. And when I read this, it changed, it helped me to understand. My life changed when I realized I had a disease, that I had an allergy to alcohol, that I wasn't a bad person. I didn't have a moral problem, right? I was sick. I was sick and I needed to get well. And in order to get well, I needed to follow the directions in this book.
Yeah.
And when I follow, and when I follow the directions in this book, which means, like he talked about early on, and it's hard to kind of put this all together, that one of his patients was Bill W. Bill W. came with 100 different people to write this book, but Bill W. went to the hospital and talked to the patients, and they allowed him to talk to the patients. When he sat down on the bed and told him from an alcoholic to an alcoholic, or a drug addict to a drug addict, it was much easier for me to take advice from them relating to their experience, strength, and hope, and understand that I wasn't alone. So I wasn't alone. I had a problem, which was an allergy to alcohol. I understood the allergy now by understanding the phenomenon of craving, or the obsession of the mind. And my life, I was powerless over it. I couldn't change it without something greater than me.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I asked for help. I was, introduced to something greater than myself, which at first was a group of drunks, that helped me through my problem. And my life became less unmanageable.
Less unmanageable, yes. The one thing that I noticed in this whole chapter, as I read it over and over before the show, because I'm like, I don't remember reading it, I'm like, whatever, but is that in here, and this is a doctor, this is the doctor that's seen, it said over 40,000 alcoholics and addicts in his career, and that was back in the 1930s.
Right.
He humanizes addicts and alcoholics. He doesn't make them bad people in this letter, in this note. He calls them patients. He calls them people. He calls us people. He calls us patients. He doesn't call them prisoners. He doesn't call them degenerates,
drunks or drug addicts.
I mean, even the guy who hid in the barn, he called them, a person, I believe he called them, whatever it was. But he didn't look at him as a psychopath, as somebody who has mental health issues. He humanized us. And that when that happens, we feel more comfortable. Okay. So I'm not you know my saying, Tiff, I'm not a bad person getting good. I'm a sick person getting well. Yeah. And, we wouldn't say that to somebody laying in a hospital, whatever. And that you're a bad person just because you got a disease. No. And that's what I love that he humanized the patients and the people in this letter that he wrote.
Yeah.
It's
and we'll really when we get into tradition one, we'll see how this even ties in there, because like the unity, the service work, the willingness to give up our control, sharing our experience, strength, and hope with others, like that's he even like really emphasized that. And like that is, to me, what I think caught me first. It wasn't the steps, it wasn't these words, because I didn't understand any of this, because I was like an illiterate genius going to school for mechanical engineering. I knew calculus and physics.
It's hard to understand it.
It is. And so when I read it, but what I did know is what he was talking about, like how someone else made me feel when they showed me and told me about what they experienced. When they explained it was a threefold disease, like, oh, okay, so it's my mind, it's my body, it's a spirit, it's like a lot of things tied in, and it just helped make sense. But the unity and the willingness, my willingness to give up that control was like really, the unity is what caught my eye. Definitely. Yeah.
And I hope that this has helped people reading this doctor's opinion, because when someone just told me, go read the first 164 pages of the book, and I read through this, I was like, what the hell is this, right? And these 1939 words and whatever. Yeah. But when I actually got out the dictionary, and that's why I said, okay, well, the annals means historical record.
Carl's gonna love that part.
Anal on purpose because I knew that sober pod, those motherfuckers.
Carl's favorite
Yeah.
thing.
Showed us saying anal instead of anal. Anyway.
Yeah, Carl's gonna have a field day with that one.
Right.
But-
We all thought it when we read that part. We're like, Carl.
I know. Well, I
Yeah,
did write.
Coral.
I did. Carl. So I did write some definitions down as we were going along, because there, guys, if you think that this is hard to understand, or maybe because maybe you have a brain fog, or maybe you don't, maybe you don't think you're smart enough. No, that is not it, guys. This
No.
stuff is very, very hard to understand.
Mhm.
That's why we broke it down. That's why we kind of read it to you guys and gave you our view, our opinion, not what the book is about. This is just what we see it as addicts and alcoholics. We see it here on this show as what we just explained to you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And this is step one, hands down. I mean, the powerlessness they talk about, the unmanageability, but then there was a solution. It said, what is the solution? The solution is, you talk to another alcoholic, you stop
Mhm.
drinking, you admit. And Tiff, you said it before, where Bill went right into the steps.
Yeah,
That
he put
is the
into practical
solution
application at once.
immediately, guys.
It was actually 2 weeks. 2 weeks after he was separated from alcohol for 2 weeks, and he had put together. He had realized, the 12 steps or whatever. I think the first one, I think there was 8 steps to start with, but anyway, that's a whole nother show. Anyway, I'm the nerd. Anyway, the big book nerd. Anyway, it was 2 weeks after he went right back to the hospital. He approached Dr. Silkworth, asked him if he could start talking to patients. And he sat down and started explaining just his own experience, strength, and hope. And by doing that, it brought them into, okay, well, maybe I should join a fellowship. Maybe I should, start talking to people and that are like me. And that can understand my problems and help me through these problems and things like that. And he had people living in his own house.
Oh yeah, him and what's her name? What's the wife's name? God, what's his wife's name?
Gosh, why do you have to do that to me?
Everybody's gonna be like, comment below what the wife.
Yes, there you go. Comment below. Here's your challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
What is Bill W.'s wife's name?
But anyways,
the cool thing is the hope of it all. Like, he was able to start over on a clean slate, become entirely new person, all because he sought recovery through a fellowship and maintained abstinence.
But think about how what a selfish act he was doing. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, in a good way. He wanted to stay sober. He went into that hospital, yes, of course, to help other people, but he knew in his heart, if he didn't go into that hospital and talk to the doctor and ask if he can get and talk to these patients, he would probably go back out again. He needed to be there. He needed to understand this. Yeah.
Because he had a sponsor, Ebby Thaxter.
Okay.
And Ebby's the one who because Bill was drinking. That's in Bill's story. Ebby showed up at his house and he thought he was going to sit down and have a couple cocktails with Ebby. Ebby said, "No, dude, I'm not drinking. This is what I've learned." And then Bill went into the hospital, separating himself from alcohol, went into 2 weeks of whatever. I don't, that's all in Bill's story. I don't want to get into it now. But anyway, then 2 weeks later, he was back. He was at the hospital and doing the same thing with people. But
that's how he stayed sober. That's exactly.
And that's how the doctor saw it.
Yeah.
The doctor was able to witness this stuff.
Yeah.
And, so think of how many lives that changed. It changed the lives of the doctor who watched it going, what the fuck? Here's this drunk coming into my hospital, right? Where
showing me up now.
I'm the dude. And, and he's been here 3 times before as my patient, and now I'm going to let him talk to my patients. But he was sober and was able to remain sober and got more help by watching. Think about it. Any new person that comes onto our meetings, we always say, you help us more than, or whatever, you help me more than you're probably helping yourself. But the reason is because I don't want to be in my first 30 days of recovery anymore. I don't want to be in that brain fog. I don't want to be back beginning, right? I'd
No.
rather talk to you all day long than go back to that shit, right?
Right.
So that's one of the ways that everybody helps. But
Mhm.
lots of good stuff in here.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And just to sum it up, what's like kind of what's your thoughts on this guy, just overall on the doctor's opinion? I know we're talking about step one, but give me your kind of overall thoughts on the doctor's opinion.
Well,
Maybe from an NA
I
point
was
of
just
view
gonna
too.
say,
Yeah.
all my NA people out there, this is like the founding like way we all started our fellowship. So it's like I can't even compare the doctor's opinion to who was an addict, because that's not really this is how it all started. I mean, like this is just history. We can't, so it still applies to us. But I just like the spiritual basis of it, that like, because in the beginning I was so close to that idea, and now I'm so open to wanting to be this spiritual being, but and then working the 12 steps, it was so important, the simple rules,
Mm-hmm. And the spiritual experience, I like that part, the spiritual experience of this. And that's again, or like we said earlier, that's where we're going to start healing, and
that's what it says the remedy is
part,
actually.
it's a remedy. Yeah, exactly.
A remedy for thousands of such situations.
Yeah.
Tiff, your thoughts on the doctor's opinion?
Well, I think it's just incredible. It's incredible. Especially that it hasn't changed in so many years.
Yes.
It's 3.5 pages, but tells me so much. Tells me about my allergy, tells me about I need to get to work right away. It tells me about my phenomenon of craving, tells me about the effects produced by alcohol, restless, irritable, discontent, a psychic change, and what that psychic change means, right? I had the spiritual experience. And then I could relate to it. I see myself in all these situations, every single one that it's talking about. And I love that we're going to talk about tradition one next week, because it pulls all the stuff that we've been talking about this whole month all together. Yes, and it especially brings in, includes not only the doctor's opinion, but everything in it. Everything. May be confusing, but I'm glad I had a sponsor to go through it with me.
Yes, definitely.
And yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this is a crucial kind of opening for the book. I mean, there's a reason why the doctor's opinion is one of the first stories of the book, besides the foreword. It's the first story of the book, actually.
Right. And it's right before Bill's story.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how important this is to us. So to me, the doctor's opinion, guys, is that a couple things. This is mixing science with human, humanity. Okay. That's number one, bringing them together in the 30s. Okay. In the 30s. Right.
It's very progressive thinking.
It was very progressive, and it was a very risky kind of chance that the doctor took, letting Bill come in and start talking to people. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? Because this man, I mean, you read this letter and you read the what he wrote. Also, he's a very smart, intelligent man. What if it backfired? What if it didn't work for Bill? What if Bill went back out again? What if he started taking all these people out with him and closed the detox? I mean, what if, you know what I mean? But that could have went
variables of the unknown.
Yeah, this guy, Dr. Silkworth, had immense trust in Bill. And you know what that is? That's higher power working right there. Whatever you want to think it is, whatever you want to, there is a reason these two worlds collided.
Yes.
There is a reason why they trusted each other. There's a reason why Bill came back 3 times and then came back to the hospital and started, working with other addicts and alcoholics. There's a reason why. And the reason why is because where we're at today, guys, because millions and millions of people getting sober and getting clean. Other fellowships coming out of this, like Scott said, this is history. Other fellowships have came out of this story right here. Okay, Bill walking into a hospital, talking to another addict and alcoholic. We applied that into other fellowships. So this is hugely important, and it's just amazing that you can see where I can see where the kind of the cutoff line is with the doctor and the detox and the hospital into, okay, we're going to start talking about this. Okay, we're going to start healing over this. Okay, we're going to, another addict alcoholic going to start talking to it. There is nothing. There is no story. Matter of fact, Bill was a salesman. Bill wasn't a doctor.
Right.
He came into this and started talking to people just one-on-one as spiritual healing. That's it. And it stops at detox. So if you're thinking about just going to detox, if you're thinking that it's going to just clear it out of my body and I'll be okay, it's not going to work, guys. This says it right here. This is the remedy. The doctor's opinion is the remedy, how the rest of the program works, how the rest of the steps work.
For millions of people.
Millions of people, yes. So if you think you're out there thinking you can go through detox and just make it work, I don't know. It never worked for me. I did try that route. It didn't work.
Yeah, I tried that too.
Me too.
Yeah. So guys, this is a great show. I mean, we can go on and on about it, but the doctor's opinion, it's at the beginning. It's the first story right after the forward. It's XXV. And comment below. Let us know what you think of, we gave you our opinion on it, what we think it is. And again, our opinion may or may not be right. For us, it's right. But if you guys have something to say, please comment below or send us an email, help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com, and we will read them and we even talk about it on the air if we get some good subjects on. We have no problems doing that. So.
Otherwise, we'll send your stupid comments over to SoberPod and they can answer for us.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Or we're gonna force you to listen to SoberPod instead of us.
That's right. I do want to talk about SoberPod before we go, because they did give us, I don't know if it was a good shout out or whatever, but we love Carl and Chelsea. Carl and Chelsea were on the last show. If you guys want to go take a listen to them, but they were trying to imitate us, guys. They were trying to. First of all, I'm not Boston. All right. I say coffee and I don't say coffee, however they say it up there. And I don't even know how you guys say it out there in California, right, Carl? All right. I don't even know if
cup
you
of
drink
Joe.
coffee. Cup of Joe. Hey, dude, you got a cup of Joe.
Oh my gosh.
In my flip flops. And
yeah, right.
Right. No, guys. That's right. I know we bust on their chops. We love those guys over there. Please listen to SoberPod. The other thing too is I want to put a challenge out there, guys, to SoberPod, because they were talking about this on their last show. Go listen to their last show. They want to do a show with us again. If you look back about a year, you'll see it's called Two Worlds Collide. And it's where SoberPod came onto our show and we came onto their show and we all did it. It was a great show. It really was. So I want to challenge them to do that again. And, maybe we can talk about the steps or something with them, because they did. And the other thing too, is they think we ripped off this idea. Okay. They think we ripped off this idea.
Tomato.
I know. You don't think any other podcasts are doing this? Where did you rip your idea off from, Carl?
Are written that are
That's right.
Follow the 12 steps through the 12 months.
That's right, Carl.
Yep.
All right. And Chelsea. So there you guys go. But they did a whole year on each step. In depth. I mean, we're doing it a little different. We're doing a little different than them, but they were like gung-ho on each step, going deeply into it each week. So
and every aspect, whether it was from the atheist or agnostic perspective, or the God perspective, it was really cool. Yeah. Go listen to it. Make sure you listen to us first, subscribe with us, give us some comments and some likes, and then you can go listen to SoberPod. So, but we love you guys over there. So guys, good show. This is probably one of the better shows that we got into the history of AA and a little bit more in depth of kind of understanding where we're going now with it. And it's really important for people who may want to know where they're going as far as that goes. But tune in, keep coming in, keep tuning in. We got a lot more good shows to come. And Tiff, Skylar, you guys did a great job today, and everybody out there, stay sober.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.